Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Tuesday, 30th July 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Venezuela's presidential elections perceived to be up for grabs. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Venezuela's opposition and President Nicolas Maduro's government are locked in a high-stakes standoff as each side claims victory in Sunday's presidential vote. Details in this CBS Miami report.
Thousands of Venezuelans in South Florida are waiting for the results of a historic presidential election in their homeland. You're looking at some of that right on your screen. It could be the end of almost 25 years of socialist rule in Venezuela, with Nicolas Maduro holding the presidency for the last 11 years. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. I'm Chelsea Jones. Those South Florida Venezuelan community members cannot vote in these elections. They've gathered at two strategic points tonight, one in Doral and the other at Jose Marti Park. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is joining us from there. Yvonne, paint a picture for us. How is the atmosphere where you are?
This is overwhelming, Chelsea. I can tell you optimism prevails among the Venezuelans who see these elections actually as an end of an era. I'm going to have Christopher race the camera and show you what it's like, because even the bad weather did not stop this gathering of thousands of Venezuelans, hoping that these elections will change the path of history for their country. This is what hope looks like. A Sunday night of optimism, celebration and joy. A community that sees the end of years of socialism in their native Venezuela.
People have lost fear. It's still too early to kind of call it, a complete victory.
Exit polls showed that opposition candidate 74-year-old Edmundo Gonzalez was strongly ahead of socialist strongman Nicolas Maduro, who aims to extend his presidency to a third term. Early afternoon numbers released by polling firm Meganalysis had Gonzalez ahead with 65% of the votes and Maduro obtaining only 13%.
People want to be with their families. That's been one of the most powerful lines.
More than 21 million Venezuelans are registered to vote, but millions did not participate in the process, like the thousands in the U.S. They are among almost 8 million Venezuelans who have fled to other countries in recent years to escape the hardship of living conditions at home. In South Florida, they are following the process from places like this one.
Here you have close to 150 volunteers that are helping on the spreading of verified, fact-checked information.
The celebration seems to go across the ages, from elderly to young ones, from the ones who left Venezuela to some born in the U.S.
Joy to see thousands of people coming together for freedom.
Even Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is one of the elected officials who has joined this civic celebration at Jose Marti Park.
This is so important, not just for the people of Venezuela. This is important for the United States. We see an immigration crisis, and it is in many respects impacted by poverty in the home country.
Not only Venezuelans attended this gathering, also Cubans and Nicaraguans who see a ray of hope for their nations. So back out live, this celebration continues here. The first results for the elections are expected to be revealed past midnight Nevertheless, there is also concern right now. We are hearing the National Center for Elections stop broadcasting results, and some of the supporters of the Nicolas Maduro government are claiming victory. So evidently that is concern for the people here, because the polls were indicating that the opposition leader was the one winning by a huge difference. We will continue covering the story. We'll have more for you tomorrow here on CBS News Miami. We are live in Miami. Ivan Taylor.
Social activist Wendell Eversley is continuing his call for the rollout of recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into the 1990 attempted coup. On Saturday, July 24th, the 34th anniversary of that fateful event, Eversley completed his annual walk from Arima to the Parliament building in Port of Spain, where he agitated for more to be done for those affected by the incident. CNC3's Jesse Ramdio reports.
As he has done in years gone by, Wendell Eversley set out before sunrise, each step away from Arima drawing the social activist closer to a site once blotted by bloodshed. On reaching the Red House hours later, events of the 1990 attempted coup 34 years ago flooded back.
And it was a period like I could never forget. I went through horrors. I was beaten on my head. Blood was flowing.
During the annual wreath-laying ceremony in memory of the victims of the attempted insurrection, Eversley spoke of lingering anguish. And as he called for the implementation of recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into the incident, he appealed for more to be done in honor of those killed during the attempted coup led by the late Imam Yassin Abu Bakr.
Put a committee in place so that we will have a proper wreath-laying ceremony. We will have a proper recognition of 1990.
While delivering remarks, political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, Gary Griffith, said that over 3 decades later, democracy still appeared to be under threat.
So from weapons to a pen, it is no different. Our democracy is being lost. And the reason I state that is when independent institutions can be targeted, whether it be the Office of the Commissioner of Police, the DPP's office, the director of the SSA, the head of the Industrial Court, the head of the Integrity Commission, the head of the Central Bank, the judiciary. One by one, we are seeing that independent bodies and the institutions are being eroded by what is known as democratic dictatorship.
Political leader of Hope, Timothy Hamill-Smith, said in the face of rising gun violence, the time has come for citizens to stand up and unite in order to protect the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Jesse Ramdale, CNC3 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Finally, that's the response of a UNC strategist to government appointment of minister in the Ministry of National Security, just as his party had suggested. Alicia Boucher of TV6 News reports.
Former UNC Senator Sean Sober says Port of Spain East MP Keith Scotland's appointment as the minister in the Ministry of National Security with responsibility for policing matters lends credence to what his political party has been saying all along.
I always say, imitation is the best form of flattery. And the United National Congress since 2015 have been indicating that the Ministry of National Security is too large. So many responsibilities. One person under that weight will fail. You need to split the ministry. And we've been saying the same thing for the last 9 going on 10 years. And finally, the PNM has decided to do the very same thing. Because by interjecting Minister Scotland there, you've now split the ministry.
Sober says passing legislation without the necessary tools to fully operationalize it is ineffective. He adds that one of the more critical elements in crime reduction has to be an increase in the detection rate.
It matters not what sanction or consequence you have at the end of the rainbow. If someone commits a crime today and they believe they'll be caught today, they will not commit the crime.
According to the attorney, the protective services need to be properly resourced, as he references the shooting of a police officer in St. Paul Street recently.
You have police officers wearing these bulletproof vests. We don't know the age of the vest. We don't know the grade of the vest. But what we do know is that the criminal element running around there with 5.56 ammunition that could pierce certain vests like hot knives through butter. You can't expect these members of the TTPS to go there and fight crime with inferior apparatus.
He also calls for better CCTV surveillance of the country, operationalization of mobile scanners, and more functional Coast Guard patrol vessels. The attorney says while there are programs for young people in the country, the information rarely filters down to those who need it most.
The ministry needs to do more for these youths. I want to see a hall filled with youths. And when the guys go around asking questions, how you come here? Let them tell the cameraman, well, listen, I was on the block. And the youth, the Ministry of whatever, Youth and Social Development had a caravan. And the caravan come and meet me on the block and give me the information I required and brought me here.
As it pertains to the rate of recidivism,
they passed a bail bill the other day and they say the reason for it is that statistically, ex-convicts are part of committing crime within this country. But where are the programs for these ex-convicts to ensure that they don't participate in recidivism, that they don't participate in criminal activity? How do we get them employed?
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Even as Trinidad and Tobago is facing a dengue dilemma, the Caribbean Public Health Agency is putting Trinidad and Tobago and the region on notice to be on the lookout for cases of Zika and chikungunya. TV6's Renessa Cutting has more.
We're seeing resurgence of both, more particularly outside of the Caribbean region. And we just re-emphasize the point that as we address one issue, for example, we're addressing dengue now, which seems to be the immediate threat, that we also remember that as we address that, we're addressing all the others, chikungunya, Zika, at least from a vector control perspective.
It's yet another incentive to keep your surroundings free of mosquito breeding sites. Even as Trinidad and Tobago and the region is grappling with dengue outbreaks, the Caribbean Public Health Agency is putting everyone on notice for cases of chikungunya and Zika.
80% of the cases are either mildly symptomatic or asymptomatic, meaning that if you're looking for a particular thing to say, well, I may have it, often it is missed. And because it is difficult to stop transmission. So as we know it, it's not an immediate issue, but we do assess that it could be a real threat, understanding that the immunity is waning. And on the point of chikungunya, likewise, in other regions, we've been noting that you've had spikes of cases of chikungunya. And for the reason I say that we should really be looking at integrated approaches to address the vector. Because in the Caribbean, it's basically the same mosquito or mosquitoes that would be spreading these diseases.
Meantime, our local Ministry of Health is reporting just over 500 cases and 5 confirmed deaths as a result of the dengue virus. CARPHA confirms the entire Latin America and Caribbean region is confronting the same issue.
A 200-fold increase in suspected cases, not confirmed. Of course, we've seen spikes in confirmed cases as well as hospitalization. So the way I'd put it is that once you have more confirmed cases, you'll find all the other things happening as well. You'll find more persons progressing to stages of complication, meaning that you'll have more cases of hospitalizations as well as deaths, unfortunately.
And while the health minister has stated that the current dengue situation will not be declared a public health emergency, as it does not meet the international criteria for such, CARPHA says this decision is left up to individual states.
From a regional perspective, we cannot impose on the declaration, and of course, what we do know is that declaration is informed by protocols and guidelines that are established at the national level, and we're well aware that those guidelines exist. And we've been following closely across the region what's been happening, and as far as I can say, those guidelines are being adhered to.
CARPHA did not provide statistics on any of the viruses. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.